Welcome to Retirement Rescue Radio, a show specifically designed to help retirees and pre-retirees maximize their financial efficiency so you can live the retirement lifestyle you've always imagined. Your host is Nate Miller, investment advisor representative and author of the CPR Retirement Rescue Roadmap. Nate discusses thoughts and ideas from some of today's most knowledgeable professionals in the field of finance. He offers strategies along the way to help you make better financial decisions so you can maximize your retirement. This is Retirement Rescue Radio.
Well, hey there. Welcome to another episode of Retirement Rescue Radio. I'm your host, Nate Miller, and today we've got a little podcast potpourri. So we're going through a couple different topics, but I think they're pretty closely related. The first one is basically talking about millennials and how they want to retire at age 50, which is great. But how to afford to do that is going to be another matter. And this comes from a New York Times article. And then along those same lines of retiring, we've got another article that talks about how the majority of workers expect that their retirement is going to include some type of job income as well. And this is coming from CNBC. And so we'll go through two of these and kind of the different mindsets as well that need to be taken into consideration when we're talking about these two different things. So the first one about how millennials are wanting to retire at 50. And this may be part of the whole FIRE movement, which those of you that aren't familiar with FIRE, it's an acronym. It stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And so a lot of, quote, millennials or people that want to follow this whole FIRE revolution, some of them are living on beans and rice and beans, right? They are cutting back and living as minimally as possible so that they can save as much as possible and be able to retire early. Some of them are taking that route. Some of them might be taking a different route, and instead of saving in the normal way, maybe they're actually also investing into real estate to try to get cash flowing properties and use that to retire early. Whatever the method that they're using to retire early, they are wanting to retire early. And so let's look at this. Millennials, they aspire to retire when they're still young and healthy, because I think a lot of them have seen some of their older parents or maybe even grandparents, maybe friends parents that waited a long time to retire. And then maybe they weren't able to do some of the things that they thought they wanted to do. And so they're also willing to prefer to take lower paying jobs if that's more aligned with their interests. So they'll take a low paying job versus a high paying job if they think the low paying job is going to have more fulfillment, basically. And so achieving financial independence in their 50s is going to be difficult, especially if that's one of the avenues that they take. And so in order to achieve retirement by that age, most of them are going to have to save 50 to 60% of their salaries. That is not 15 and 16. That is 50 and 60, 50 to 60%. When a lot of people are struggling just to save the 15%, which 15% has long been lauded as kind of the gold standard of what percentage of your income should you save every single year if you plan on being okay in retirement. It's 15%. And right now, those studies are showing that 36% of millennials in all different fields were only saving 5% or less of their income. So they need to be saving 50 to 60, and they're saving 5. So it's the 50 without the zero behind it. That's not even going to come close to what they need. That's not even coming close to what they should actually save for a normal retirement age. And studies are also showing that 26% of millennials had taken some type of a loan from their 401k, and 25% just simply withdrew some of their funds from their IRA. And so now we've got a quarter of the millennials that say they want to retire at 50 that have dipped into their retirement savings before they actually retired, therefore lowering their retirement savings and making it inevitable that they're going to have to save even longer. And so these are diametrically opposed to what actually needs to happen here. So in other words, millennials are not saving enough, and many aren't even contributing enough to their 401ks to get their full employer matches. So that's the issues. Some of the challenges that are facing the millennials are fewer employees are offering pension plans. So a lot of them aren't even going to have that to fall back on. No longer is the company going to always guarantee that there's going to be some kind of a 401k match. If you can find a company that is matching anything, that's awesome. You should definitely take advantage of that. But there's not really that many of them. So the lack of a pension or the lack of the 401k match is going to put the burden entirely on the employee to save for the future. And then there's in this article here, there's a contributor, Jack Northrup. He's a certified financial planner at Experience Your Wealth in Bristol. The responsibility has shifted from entirely being an employer to helping employees retire to the employers helping themselves, employees helping themselves retire. It's pretty much all up to the retiree. Do not expect the government and do not expect some big company to be responsible for your retirement. It's going to have to be you. And, actually, I feel like a lot of people should take that stand in anything they do. Don't think that someone else is going to come in and help you and swoop in and save the day. Always work like nobody else is going to help you out. They say that there's a saying, which actually it's not in the Bible. It's God helps those that help themselves. That is not anywhere in the Bible, even though a lot of people like to quote it like that. And that's, not entirely true, but work like that. If you work like no one else is coming to the rescue and save like no one else is going to be coming to the rescue, then you're probably going to be closer to being okay than if you just think, oh, your company's going to take care of you. Oh, the government with Social Security is going to take care of you. It's not how it's going to happen. And so how should millennials then save for the future? Well, they should have a mix of traditional retirement accounts that are more versatile than normal accounts, and don't have all of their savings in pre-tax retirement accounts either. I don't know how many presentations, live speaking events that I have done with retirees, people that are either currently retired or they're very, very close to it. And I ask them if their income now, or in a couple of years when they retire, is going to put them in a lower tax bracket when they retire, or if they're in the same. The vast majority of them are in the same tax bracket. I have found very few people that are actually in that lower tax bracket when they retire. But we're still told to defer. And if that's not actually the way things are going to work, then we should probably have a mix of a lot of our assets in tax-free places too, like Roth IRAs. Because if most of us are not going to be in a lower tax bracket when we retire, putting money into tax-free accounts makes a whole heck of a lot more sense now. So I would say that would be one, and focus on creating several revenue streams beyond just your full-time job, and maybe put that money into other assets like possibly even real estate, like I talked about earlier, a different after-tax investment account, even because you can only contribute so much to Roth IRAs, or if you make too much, you can't, unless you do like the non-deductible IRA, and then do the whole conversion right off the bat. So that's kind of the backdoor Roth way of doing it. So that'd be another way. And maybe even businesses that generate some passive income. And in this, gig economy, side gigs can actually contribute quite a bit to somebody's bottom line if you are willing to work just a little bit harder. To give you an example, we actually take advantage of, we have a camper. It's not huge. It's a 23 foot camper. We just pull it behind our vehicle, and when we're not using it, we rent it out through a service called RV Share. So RV Share is basically the largest collection of camper rentals in the country, maybe the world. I don't know, but at least in the country. And that we put our camper up on that site. It's basically like an Airbnb for campers is really what it is. And so you can set whatever your nightly rate is. You can have additional add-ons if you deliver it, or if they don't dump it, before they bring it back. You can have additional income streams that way. And so now you just rent that out a few times for the year. And if you're making payments or whatever on that, you could essentially have a free camper. But if you do it enough times, you could actually have a profit from that. And so not only is it paying all of your expenses, but you got some extra left over that you can then put into some type of an account. If you are single or if you're married and your spouse is okay with it, you could do some house hacking, which for those of you that aren't familiar with that term, that's basically renting out a spare room in your own house. You're going to have a roommate and you're going to rent to them, and you can take that money and either pay off your mortgage quicker, or you could end up investing more of that into your retirement accounts. So that could be another one. If you get your house paid off soon or sooner, maybe that means you can retire sooner. So there's all kinds of things out there. You can, Airbnb your house. You can rent out your car through Turo. You can deliver for DoorDash or whatever it is. There's all kinds of things that you can do if you do want to retire early. But if you're only saving 5% you are not going to be able to retire at 50. So get that up, right? And so it's crazy. So I would say there's a big disparity between millennials wanting to retire early and then being able to save enough to actually make that happen. So maybe what they need to do is sit down with a financial advisor and find out what they need to do in order to retire early so they get some kind of a plan. Don't just go about it all willy-nilly and hope. Don't have the hope and a prayer plan. Don't just hope that what you're currently doing is somehow magically going to make you able to retire at 50. And so we've got several of our clients who have referred their kids in, because we don't, actively market to non-retirees or people that are, not close to retirement. We don't normally do that, but we have tons of things available because, myself, I'm 42. And so I'm still in that younger age of possibly being able to retire early. Now, I the way that I run my business, I can structure my business in such a case that if I just wanted to kind of scale back and have other employees and advisors that are doing the day-to-day stuff, I can kind of scale back and not have to come into work as much as possible and call that semi-retirement. I can always do that, so then why fully retire if that's the case? So there's all different cases. Retirement has got a different, I want to say a different definition now. But if there's anybody listening to this that is of the younger age, and you do want to find out when can you retire, if you want to retire sooner rather than later, what you have to save, what type of return that you need on those assets, and basically what some of your options are to be able to make that a reality. Because with proper planning, I feel like it is doable. And so we'll do that. We have if you want to click on our calendar link, we can get a 15-minute phone call to kind of go over some of that, if that's something that you do want to do. So you're in your 30s and you're just starting out, you got a family, maybe you want to save for college, but also you still want to retire early. Let's work something out. Let's give you a plan. So just, click on the link, get 15 minutes, and we'll be able to start that process. So that's the first part of the potpourri. Second part, the majority of the workers expect that their retirement will include some type of a job. All right. So that could work too. Let's say that you get, and I've actually got retirees now that will do this, is they will quit working at whatever their main career was for the majority of their life, retire from that job, and then get some part-time job in an area that is much more fulfilling, much more fun for them, lot less stressful for them. It's something they really enjoy doing, and they can do that instead. And so that's really going to help out with making sure that that portfolio stays intact. And so just to give you some of the numbers here, 59% of baby boomers that are still in the workforce expect to continue working in some capacity into retirement. And 60% of Generation X shares that sentiment as well. Millennials, only 49%. So now, again, going back to the millennials, 49% of them, less than half, think they're going to work there. Think they're going to work in retirement, but they're only contributing 5% when they need to do 50 if they want to retire early. So millennials, you've got a lot of things going against you when it comes to retirement and the expectations. So if you take them all, lump them all together, 54% of all workers say that the retirement is going to include some type of a job. Now, what's behind that shift? So there is a guy who's the contributor to this article, Charlie Nelson, the CEO of Retirement and Employee Benefits for Voya. It's got the definition of retirement is evolving, and it's going to keep on evolving. mean, I've had several podcast guests who hate the word retirement and would like to call it something else, refirement, or second act or third act, depending on how many acts you want to, say they are or there are. And so this change in definition is largely due to a lot of, currently economic uncertainty. The pandemic is still persisting and unemployment still remains pretty high, even though there's a lot of job openings out there. The stock market has, also been up and down. And so that's going to create some uncertainty as well. And so people are looking to have some job income to take some of that burden off of their portfolio. And, respondents from this study indicated the following reasons for wanting to continue working. 56 of them actually cited non-financial reasons. It was more about well-being and the need to stay cognitively alert. And it was only about 40% that cited a safety net to cover unexpected costs. And I've got other people that, almost, if not all of their income is already covered through whatever guaranteed sources they might have, like Social Security income or pension income. It's already good, but they kind of would like a little bit extra for travel. And so they'll get a part-time job where they might earn 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever, 20 grand a year. And you know what, at 20 grand a year, you can have some phenomenal travel with that. I still think about finding all-inclusive resorts in like Cancun or somewhere in Mexico that if you and a couple or you and a spouse wanted to go down there for a 5-night stay, it's like $2,000, flight, hotel, drinks, meals, everything included, $2,000, and if you get a $20,000 extra income for the year, you can take 10 of those trips. You could do one almost every single month if you wanted to. And it's your part-time job paying for it rather than your portfolio. That's pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. And so, yeah, I would say that's one of them. So most workers are still prioritizing saving for retirement. Apparently not the millennials, though, but if you take the whole cross section, it is. According to Voya's survey, 55% of the respondents stated that they would rather save more for retirement than be completely debt-free. And I want to touch on that here real quick, because I have a lot of people that will ask whether or not they should pay off their house before they retire, or whether they should should I take funds from my IRA to pay off my house? That's normally what it is. And most of the time that answer is going to be no. I just tell you that right now. So if you're going to, call in or email in to asknate@retirementrescueradio.com, most of the time my answer to that question has been no, because it's usually not, I'll give you just round numbers here. It's usually not like my father-in-law when he asked me the question. So, like full disclosure, my in-laws are not clients of mine. My parents are, but my in-laws are not. And I'm fine with that. Rod, if you ever listen to this, I'm okay with that, because you know what? If something happened, I don't want to be on your bad side. So anyway, what was I getting? Oh yeah. So I'll just say since I'm not their client, they're not clients of mine. I don't know the exact amount of money they have, but I know he worked at a, company in the Lawrence area for, 39 years. It was the only company that he ever worked for his entire life. And so he has a pension from there. He made decent money. So he's got good Social Security. His wife had decent Social Security. And they did a good job saving too. So we've had several conversations. I'm pretty close to knowing almost exactly what their financial situation is. And so when he asked me the question, I'm just going to say that, should I pay off the rest of my house? I'm like, Rod, how much do you got left? Let's say he said 10 grand. And since I know his situation pretty well, that was an easy answer. Yeah, that's not going to affect his retirement really at all if he did that. So if it makes somebody mentally feel a heck of a lot better to have their house paid off and they got 10 grand left on the mortgage, shoot, pay that off, right? But you know what? That's not how most of the questions go. Most of the questions, they've got 100,000, 200,000, whatever. They got a large amount still on their mortgage, and they don't have that huge of amount saved up. And so if they pay off their house, that's going to take a huge percentage of their retirement savings. And so I would rather, if your Social Security, if you're lucky enough to have a pension, if your guaranteed streams of income are enough that you're still able to pay your mortgage, pay it using your guaranteed sources. Don't pay it using your finite sources. Don't pay it using money from your retirement plans, your IRAs, your 401ks, one, because it was tax deferred. You got to take out more than what you're actually needing because you got to pay taxes on it. But two, that money can run out. So don't look at it just on the interest that you're paying. Look at the whole picture. Let the guaranteed sources pay for it, not your finite sources, the never ending, the infinite sources, not the finite sources. Let them pay for it, right? All right, so there's that. And so also according to Voya, almost 70% of participants in all of these retirement plans that are managed by Voya have increased their contributions during the pandemic. So that was good news. And so, that's some of the ways that you can grow your investments if you work part-time in retirement is one, you don't actually end up needing to take money out when you're working a part-time job. So that keeps your portfolio intact a little bit longer. Also, let's say maybe you are taking a little bit out and then decide to start working in a bad economy or when the market's going down. Well, if the market's going down and you start working and you stop your withdraws from your retirement account and start taking that money from your from your job income, well, then again, that helps keep your portfolio intact just that much longer. And so, yeah, I would not recommend paying off houses early if it's a large percentage of your retirement assets. That is definitely not it. But yeah, a lot of people choose jobs because of entirely different reasons than financial. Whether some of those are like what they said up earlier, where they want to do it to just stay cognitively alert, have a little bit more mental well-being, or in the case of a lot of us guys, we're not really good at fostering relationships with other guys. And so sometimes when we leave our social network of our job, we kind of get a little lonely. And so this would be another way of keeping some type of a social network going as well. And that has all kinds of benefits as well, not just financial. So there is a lot that goes into that. So if that's something that you want to do, and part-time can be a lot of different things. It could be an actual part-time job, or it could be one of those side gigs that I mentioned a little bit earlier, whether it's the, renting out your camper or your house or your car or whatever it is. There's a lot of stuff out there. I think I have an episode where I go through, it's maybe sidehustle.com, but I think hustle spelled without the E. And there's all different things that you can do or different ideas that you can get on how to make money without the normal, 9-to-5 type stuff. So that's it, guys. Again, I hope you enjoyed this. Tune in next week. We're going to continue bringing you content to empower you to live the retirement that you deserve. Take care.